Hello students, today we're going to be looking at the basics of your Chromebook, particularly the keyboard and your touchpad. It is a little different from a regular laptop, and there's some shortcuts that you'll need to know. Teachers, if you need to pause this video, please do so now in order to give your class time to open up the lid of their Chromebooks and to log in, because I want them to look at the keyboard as I go over this tutorial. Let's take a look at your Chromebook keyboard. In particular, let's look at the top row. Some of these buttons I'm not going to go over because you're going to be using it with a combination of a second button. I will talk about it briefly, but we're going to be looking at that more when you look at shortcuts and combinations. First, I want to tell you, don't get overwhelmed with this. There's so many different little hotkey combinations and shortcuts, and we have that on regular laptops. Some of them you're going to learn, some of them you're not, and some it's not really going to be any easier for you than going through the full process that you normally take in order to have these different functions, such as copying and pasting. But you need to be aware, because there's a few things that you just can't find on the keyboard of a Chromebook versus other laptop. So I don't want you to be confused about that, and I'll be pointing some of those out. But looking at this top row, notice escape. That's pretty standard. You're going to use that button if you are in a web page, for example, and let's say that you're looking at a slide presentation, or it could be a video. The escape button will allow you to de-emphasize a player or a slide presentation and go back to that main web page wherever it's embedded. Let's look at some other keys. One thing you'll notice is you have these arrow buttons. You have a back button and a forward. You can push these on your keyboard if you want to go to the previous page in your browser history. This is exactly the same as a back button that you will see when you are online. And that forward button will give you the next page in your browser history. The next key is very powerful, and you will probably use this many times. I talked about this when we went over the troubleshooting tutorial. This is your reload refresh key. It's very important to try this if you have a web page that is not loading or is stuck, frozen. Oftentimes this fixes it. So that is when I reference to you the reload refresh. That's where it's located, right there at the top. Let's look at the settings and how to quickly change them for your screen. You have two different buttons. It looks like little round circles. Of course, you have these little spikes coming out. One's smaller and one's larger, here and here. You can use these keys to adjust the brightness of your screen. The smaller one is to make it more dim. And then right beside it, you have the brightener that will increase the brightness of your screen. Beside the keys that impact the setting of the brightness of your screen, you have keys that you can use to mute the volume of your computer, to decrease the sound, and to increase. I suggest every student use this mute button. What you don't want is for a distraction during class if you click on a link and a video begins playing automatically, and that does happen. So unless your teacher wants you listening to something, my suggestion is to always have it muted. And then the last key is your power key. Now, even though I have on this tutorial power off and on, I wanted to explain something to you that I think is kind of cool about a Chromebook. You may want to power it off if you're using it as a troubleshooting tip, and also maybe between classes just to conserve your battery. What's interesting about a Chromebook, though, is if you don't power it off, when you close the lid, it's not going to shut it off. You don't have to turn it on. All you have to do is open your lid, and it's on automatically. If you would like to pull up a keyboard for you to view and see all the shortcuts, let's try this now. You can do this on your own screen. Find the Control key. It's in the bottom left of your Chromebook keyboard. Push the Control key down and also the Alt and question mark. You have to hold all three of these at the same time. What you should see on your screen is an actual keyboard. You can try pushing different keys to see the combinations and what they do. For example, try pushing Control once you see that keyboard displayed. Pushing the Control key, it'll show you shortcuts that you use with Control and what it will do. Once you've looked at those, you can also try this with Shift, and it'll show you when you hold Shift and other keys what function it will enable. And also try it with Alt. As you can see, as you're kind of exploring this, there are many different ways to enable functions just using your keyboard. A few things, these are shortcuts that I think you're going to need to know, and you're going to end up using this quite a bit. One thing you're going to notice on your keyboard, there's no caps lock. The way to make a capital letter is to push down Alt as well as your search icon. You have to hold this at the same time, and that will enable you to type a capital letter. And when you're ready to go back to lowercase, you will have to do the shortcut key combination again. You'll push Alt and that search. Something else that might be different for you is, I tend to already use this, but it may be neat for some of you, is when you copy something, Control C, and then to paste it, Control V. You may find that this is easier to copy and paste because your touchpad does not do right clicks the way a regular touchpad will do on a different laptop. So it's easier for some to do Control V. Now, there are ways to do a right click. It's just not the way you're probably used to. And that's when you take your two fingers and you place them on your touchpad. That will give you that right click function. What I want to do now is we're going to stop the video, and I want you to watch this video on YouTube that will explain to you some other differences, additional information on your Chromebook keyboard and how to use your touchpad.